I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2013 Convocation. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to all of you our President and CEO of the Mount Sinai Healthcare System, Ken Davis.
Well, that's a new title. So, welcome everybody. Each year, Convocation brings us together to renew our commitment to education, research, and clinical care, as well as to review our commitment to each other and to our institution. Those of you who were here at the beginning of the century, between 2000 and 2003, appreciate that the Mount Sinai Medical Center has changed enormously. From financial turmoil as we disengaged from NYU to a run of robust growth. Together, we've recruited great faculty, conducted extraordinary science, built buildings, and seen our national reputation grow. Now our fortunes will change again. Healthcare is rapidly changing. We are entering a period that requires us to profoundly alter what we do. We do so because federal and state governments can't afford to pay providers the growing cost of healthcare. Consequently, we've experienced a relentless cutting of our revenues. Our margins are shrinking and projected to continue to decline. Indeed, it is virtually impossible to find a senator or congressman on either side of the aisle who advocates for increasing our payments. At best, we find allies who simply want to diminish the damage. Consequently, our business model must change because, simply put, it's unsustainable. Not-for-profit hospitals that have strong social missions are particularly vulnerable. Across the country, institutions like ours are struggling to preserve services that have no margins but are essential, such as OB, pediatrics, psychiatry, and many subspecialties. We must adapt to survive. Strategic growth is what saved Mount Sinai 10 years ago, and it will again. Our decision, as everyone knows, has been to combine with the Continuum Health Partners, to continue to grow, but now in a new way with a new strategic vision. We're now a health system with 7 hospitals, 12 ambulatory surgery centers, about 150 ambulatory care sites, some large like our practices in Cobble Hill, the Beth Israel Medical Group, and our practice in Huntington, and some quite small. In Manhattan, there will be a Mount Sinai doctor literally in walking distance of every resident on the island. We have 6,600 full, part-time, or voluntary physicians, and 2,000 residents or fellows. In 2012, nearly 40% of all discharges from Manhattan came from what is now the Mount Sinai Health System. Including our medical school, the Mount Sinai Health System will have $7 billion in revenue, 36,000 employees, and it will be one of the largest such systems in New York State and indeed in the country. But size by itself does not guarantee success. Rather, size brings opportunity. Now we'll have the ability to consolidate and streamline clinical, social mission, and corporate services. To achieve this vision, we must become a fully integrated healthcare system, not 7 separate hospitals, each with its own associated ambulatory sites, but as one large health system. The size and capabilities of our new system can provide a continuity of care that any single institution cannot. Indeed, systems like ours that have everything from primary care to the most sophisticated subspecialty services have been models for quality and performance over the last decade. Additionally and critically, large integrated healthcare systems have the capacity for population management and therefore can move away from the fee-for-service medicine that we've been living under toward a system that can accept risk and manage populations. We can be rewarded now not just for the diseases we treat, but the diseases we prevent. Additionally, we will be able to contract differently and be rewarded for wellness. We'll be able to negotiate shared savings from premium dollars that employers or employees pay. And we'll be better able to set the terms of the contracts we want and award relationships to the insurers who meet the terms we define. The question on everyone's mind, understandably, and it should be, is what will it take for us to be successful? We know from personal experiences that mergers can fail. Fortunately, in this case, our cultures are fairly well aligned. We already share many of the same goals and attributes with the Continuum Health partners: a patient-centric philosophy, a devotion to the highest quality care, and a truly outstanding cadre of physicians. With this foundation, there should be no culture clash. If, on the other hand, we focus on those metrics that differentiate our faculty, such as research protocols, publications, and grant dollars, we'd be making a big mistake. We would be magnifying differences that would be unnecessary to divide us. The clash of academic cultures, that of having two medical schools, was part of our undoing with NYU, and we've learned from that experience. In the new healthcare system, as we currently now have at Mount Sinai, there are multiple tracks for faculty appointments: pure academic, clinical educator, and pure researcher. No track is or should be viewed as better than any other. There is room and indeed a need for everyone, and we respect everyone. During the many months and discussions leading to this combination, we've also learned from Continuum's past. They attempted to operate separate hospitals under an umbrella that offered some administrative and purchasing consolidations. This approach proved less than optimal. And so going into this, both institutions are committed to creating a unified, integrated system. We will not create a hub-and-spoke system where everything that's complicated comes to Mount Sinai Hospital. There'll be areas of excellence in each hospital, and the Mount Sinai brand will be distributed throughout the system. Under the direction of a single leadership team, we will deliver equivalent, high-quality care throughout the system to all the patients, and our patients will move seamlessly through the system and between the hospitals and sites. This is not going to happen overnight, but at the same time, we must be impatient. We need to move quickly in integrating systems across hospitals and defining clinical centers of excellence throughout the network. Our future is now in our hands. If we do it right, as we've done for the last 10 years, we will secure the future of Mount Sinai for decades to come. With your help and cooperation, I'm confident we will. Thank you. It's now my privilege to present Peter May, the chairman of our boards of trustees, who's been a driving force in bringing our systems together. Peter?
Thanks, Ken, and good afternoon, everybody. Convocation is always a great event. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 28th Convocation ceremony. And it's also the first convocation since our medical school was proudly renamed the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in honor of my fellow trustee, Carl Icahn. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to celebrate another year of Mount Sinai's unparalleled growth and success. Today, we stand on the brink of the most dynamic and transformational era in Mount Sinai's history. The remarkable achievements in the past year, most notably the renaming of our medical school, the opening of the state-of-the-art Leon and Norma Hess Center for Science and Medicine, and the tremendous success of our campaign for Mount Sinai, which exceeded its fundraising goals not once but twice, and will close out at the end of this year at $1.5 billion, are a testament to our institution's astonishing momentum. And further, as Ken was describing, today is the day that we've closed our merger with the Continuum Health System, which will put Mount Sinai into a trajectory to become an incredibly important healthcare system both here in New York and throughout the country. The Mount Sinai system will serve as a model for other healthcare providers, taking a proactive approach to navigate the changing healthcare landscape. I don't have to describe all the things about what it's going to look like because Dr. Davis just did, but we are really excited about the opportunities that it gives to really represent and deal with the changes in healthcare in a proactive way. And as we welcome scientists and physicians affiliated with Continuum to the Mount Sinai faculty, we will vastly expand our research network and accelerate the pace of groundworking discoveries. So even as we look forward towards the future and growth of our enterprise, the present accomplishments of our world-renowned faculty give us much to celebrate, as Convocation honorees here demonstrate. Through their specialties, which vary widely from nephrology to neuroscience, from cancer research to translational genetics, to name a few, the physician scientists we honor today are among the most accomplished experts and pioneers in their fields. Their outstanding contributions to medicine and to medical science exemplify Mount Sinai's commitment to delivering patient care informed by leading-edge research. Such extraordinary achievements are made possible by the illustrious tradition of philanthropy that has described Mount Sinai since its earliest beginnings. Today, it's our privilege to commend not only those whose brilliant work promised to transform the practice of medicine, but also the partnership and generosity of people who have championed this vital work. In upholding Mount Sinai's proud philanthropic tradition, our supporters paved the way for ever greater advances in biomedical science. Several of our most valued donors and supporters are here with us today to commemorate the achievements of our faculty and to look ahead at the many breakthroughs. I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. and Mrs. Maurice Spanbach, who join us tonight to represent the estate of the late Ruth Ward Coleman. Mr. Spanbach was Mrs. Ward Coleman's cousin, longtime friend and lawyer, and the executor of her estate. A devoted supporter of Mount Sinai for many years, Mrs. Ward Coleman passed away last year at the age of 110. She was as passionate about philanthropy as she was about her career as a lawyer and her role in establishing the Social Security Administration. Her bequest, which was one of the largest gifts toward endowed professorships in Mount Sinai's history, supports 6 Ward Coleman chairs, 5 of whom we honor tonight. The Ward Coleman chairs are an extraordinary honor, reserved for faculty members whose work show the greatest promise to enhance the prevention, treatment, and cure of diseases, illnesses, and disabilities of human beings, as Mrs. Ward Coleman wished. We're very happy to have Mr. and Mrs. Spanbach with us to celebrate Mrs. Ward Coleman's generous gift and the tremendous impact it'll have on our research enterprise. We're also delighted to have Elliot and Rosalind Jaffe here tonight. Their family and the Jaffes have been long devoted supporters of Mount Sinai, specifically in our efforts to understand and treat food allergy. Their exceptional gift to establish the Elliot and Rosalind Jaffe Professorship in Pediatric Allergy and Immunology will further build the first-class translational research underway at the Elliot and Rosalind Jaffe Food Allergy Institute at Mount Sinai, which Mr. and Mrs. Jaffe generously established in 1997. Our institution is deeply fortunate to have the support of such extraordinary benefactors, whose visionary philanthropy has been critical to Mount Sinai's ability to fulfill its missions to advance human health around the world. In the years ahead, we will continue to depend on the strength and commitment of our community to ensure the success of our endeavors and to sustain Mount Sinai's leadership in the evolving healthcare landscape. Together, we will ensure a bright future for Mount Sinai and all those who rely on our care. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Ken. And now it's my pleasure to give you a state of your school on this momentous day when we become a new healthcare system. In the interest of time, I'll go through some of the slides quickly, but the entire talk will be on our website in case some of you are more interested in some of the details. So as we've already heard, today is a big day in the history of our medical center, and as many of you have seen over the last months, we now have a new brand, a new logo that not only have you been seeing around our campus, but now you'll be seeing around Manhattan and some of the other boroughs. But as Ken mentioned, our mission here now extends throughout our new healthcare system. It's not, again, going to be a hub and spoke model. We're going to spread our excellence around Manhattan, around the 5 boroughs, to millions of patients who go to us for care, look for us to care. Our mission is to advance medicine through unrivaled education, research, and clinical care to provide exceptional experiences and outcomes to our patients locally and globally. And one of the areas that we've been emphasizing perhaps most recently is that we are a hub of innovation, that we are the Silicon Valley of medical schools. We look for students, we look for faculty, physicians and scientists to push the envelope, to think out of the box so that we can change the way medicine is practiced. Last year, we initiated a now annual conference that brings together experts from around the country to talk about innovation. This year's conference will be in November 18th and 19th, and you can see we have a stellar group of speakers. I know Joe Torre, who we think knows something about teamwork and excellence and winning, and we think he has a lot of lessons to teach us, and maybe even the Yankees going forward. So I hope all of you can attend this conference. The theme is going to be team science, because medical research has become more complicated. The sequencing of the human genome, the ability to be able to image the human body more precisely. Gathering enormous amounts of data requires experts from many different fields to work together, and that's what we emphasize in this conference and at Mount Sinai more generally. We need to break down barriers. The old models of silos, where scientists within a given department or a given area of specialization did not interact with others, won't cut it in today's environment if we're going to truly make a difference. As has been written about and proven over time, boundaries act as barriers and constrain exploration. In fact, the great innovations in our time tend to occur at the boundaries of disciplines, not within disciplines. And that's what we're going to be doing here at Mount Sinai. To be able to accomplish this, we're going to require leadership of our chairs and other leaders that sit before you today, and others throughout the new Mount Sinai healthcare system. And this is particularly important as we begin to break new ground on how do we deliver healthcare to a population that is in so much in need. And the case has recently been made of all the types of institutions in medicine, it's the academic medical center that perhaps can make the most difference. Not only do we have a legacy of Nobel Prizes, of making discoveries that lead to new treatments, but we need to transform ourselves. The Mount Sinai healthcare system, the Icahn School of Medicine, to rapid learning as a healthcare organization, to develop new models of care that deliver high quality care most efficiently. And we can do that. Let me talk a bit now about what we've accomplished in the last year. As Peter alluded to, we are now the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai through the incredible generosity of Carl Icahn and his family. This gift is transformative to Mount Sinai to be able to recruit top scientists, top students, to renovate our facilities going forward. We opened the Leon and Norma Hess Center for Science and Medicine in December from a generous gift from the Hess family. Already, we have occupied almost 80% of the building. So I've got to go to Peter and say, we need another building. We've been open for 6 or 9 months already. Our medical school was reaccredited by LCME, but not just the normal accreditation. We are now considered a model by the LCME for other schools. The graduate school has also had another great year. We've launched the Center for Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. And as you'll see, our faculty practice is thriving. Measures of quality indicate we're doing a good job. 105 doctors, 145 doctors in New York Magazine listed as the best doctors in New York. That's the single highest number of any single hospital because we were considered then a single hospital. Going forward, as we build the new healthcare system, there'll be many more doctors who are considered best doctors. In U.S. News and World Report, we continue to rise through the rankings. NIH funding has never been more difficult. It's a peer review system, as many of you know, so it's very competitive. But with the sequester and a 5% drop in NIH funding, the competitiveness has never been tougher. Yet, this year we increased from $191 million to about $215 million, over a 10% increase in the context of a 5% cut in the NIH budget. So our scientists are competing very effectively. In this economic environment, our model has been growth, strategic growth, in areas that enhance our science and enhance our ability to provide outstanding care. Thus, over the last year, we've recruited over 140 new physicians and scientists across the full range of rank, from younger faculty to the most senior faculty. You can see we've also recruited a new director of our Metabolism Institute, Andy Stewart from the University of Pittsburgh, and 3 new chairs, Ramon Parsons and Paul Kenny, who are both getting endowed chairs today, and most recently Ash Tawari as our new chair of the Department of Urology. It's been a good year for medical education. I want to highlight our launching of FlexMed, which has received a lot of national attention as a revolutionary early assurance program to attract the best and brightest students coming to medical school from all fields, whether it's in the humanities, physics, mathematics, computer science. We've also implemented a wonderful new medical school curriculum, which is a living document, which enables us to change with the times as we learn about new advances in how to diagnose and treat human disease or understand the cause of human disease. That immediately gets translated into our new curriculum. The quality of our medical students has never been higher. A lot of us joke, but it's true, that we could not have gotten into Mount Sinai as the current faculty. You can see we had almost 5,500 applications. The average MCAT places our students in the very top rank, as does their GPA, and they come from the best undergraduate schools in the United States. Every year we recruit a select number of students who want to get both an MD and a PhD. Their average GPA was almost 3.9, and their MCAT score was, again, extremely high. We're very proud of these students as well. Our graduate school had another great year under the leadership of John Morrison and his team. Most notably, we have established a unique new PhD program that symbolizes our commitment to innovation. That's a PhD track in design, technology, and entrepreneurship. This track is married to our other disciplines of genomics and neuroscience and pharmacology and so forth, but also teaches our young scientists how to discover things that make a difference, how to make things, how to think about a problem and solve it that can change patient care. We also had one of the first ever courses on whole genome sequencing to teach our students what it means to sequence their genome. What can they learn from the sequencing of the human genome, and how do they deal with that information? We've also established a new affiliation with RPI, which will include new MD, PhD, and PhD programs. The quality of our PhD students is, if not the best, among the very best in the history of our graduate school. Very strong scores, GPA, GREs, and also coming from the top undergraduate schools. And most of them have already published papers in top journals. As I mentioned, we signed an affiliation with RPI. This could be very valuable to both schools because RPI doesn't have a strong affiliation with a medical school, and we don't have an engineering department, a chemistry department, a biomedical or computing science department. So the expertise of both institutions align in our mission to make discoveries that can lead to new devices for surgical procedures, that can develop new applications, new apps for smart devices that can bring care from the clinic to the home. Already, we have brought together faculty. We're establishing a joint pilot project competition, and it looks like the New York City Economic Development Corporation would like to invest in our academic affiliation. Every year, more and more of our students want to learn more about global health, whether it means going to underserved populations around the planet, learning about diseases that are uniquely found in underserved areas around the world, and in some cases close to home. When we introduce ourselves to each new class and we ask how many of you want to get an experience in global health, easily 2/3 to 3/4 of the class raise their hand. So we have expanded our global health program dramatically. We offer lots of opportunities for our students around the world. Our faculty are mentors to those students. And over the coming year, we expect to create a new institute for global health so that we can be one of the leading medical schools that take our discoveries and implement around the globe. How do we do research-wise? I mentioned that our awards from NIH are at an all-time high at $215 million, and that's really a spectacular achievement for our scientists. We rank in the top 5 in terms of research dollars per scientist, and we've continued to work to provide an environment for our scientists to achieve what their imagination is leading them. For example, we've invested heavily in high-performance computing, core facilities for monoclonal antibodies and vaccine development, and medicinal chemistry and others. We have established a $10 million venture fund in which we can look at the most promising of our scientific discoveries and give a push toward commercialization so ultimately it can lead to the marketplace. Projects approved to date include new approaches to diagnostic testing using genetics and molecular pathology, and an innovative way to discover personalized cancer therapeutics. As I mentioned, the Hess Center opened in December of 2012. We've been able to recruit a spectacular group of new faculty. They're now housed in the Center for Science and Medicine, and as I mentioned, we're 80% occupied. It's a spectacular building and was designed to encourage collaboration and teamwork. More and more, scientific research is characterized by the need to analyze enormous amounts of data. It's now called big data. To analyze big data, we've developed big computers. In fact, our computer now is so big, we name it. It's called Minerva, the goddess of wisdom. Patricia Kovacs is our leader in developing this facility, and you can see already in the past 2 years we have over 300 users, 161 projects, delivered 51 million compute hours to researchers over the past year. Our Mount Sinai data warehouse contains over 2 billion facts. Now, how do you analyze 2 billion facts? I have a hard time getting around that, but you need a big computer to do that. And so at this point, we have one of the largest high-performance computing systems of any medical school in the country. We've also worked hard to re-engineer our research infrastructure to make it easier for our scientists to do their science, whether it's new software systems to help them get approval for their studies. We've established an Office of Research Services to facilitate clinical trials, and we've developed performance metrics of our own to make sure we are providing what our scientists need because they are our customers. And this is how the innovation continuum works at Mount Sinai. We cultivate innovation through education, like the new center that I mentioned, the new PhD track. We provide, and we will continue to provide, state-of-the-art core facilities for our scientists to do their work, and through our tech transfer office called the Mount Sinai Innovation Partners, we work with our scientists to develop their invention toward commercialization and develop good deals with industry partners, or in some cases, forming our own Mount Sinai-based company. And this has been a very good year. These are some of the metrics. We've had 425 faculty, students, and staff engaged with Sinai Innovation Partners, hundreds of disclosures, hundreds of patent filings, over 50 collaborative sponsorships, sponsored industry agreements, and so forth. This commercializing our science is not only good for our patients, but it's good for the health of our institution, because we take the funds that we acquire through these discoveries and reinvest them into the facilities, the scientific facilities at Mount Sinai. This shows you some of the data regarding research funding. Here we're ranked number 2 in the country among American medical schools in research dollars per square foot. That means we manage our space very effectively. And this year we're number 5 in research dollars per scientist, which means our scientists on an individual scientist level competes with the very best scientists in the United States. What about our faculty practice? Equally important among our missions of education and research is providing spectacular care to our patients. We have one of the largest faculty practices in the United States. Its growth is important to the health of our institution. Every year, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been growing at least 6%. We have a strong contribution margin, which means we're providing outstanding care efficiently. And the patient experience, and we're very concerned and monitor patient satisfaction, is now placing us in the top quarter among peers nationally, and as you'll see, in the top 10% of our peers in the New York City area. We've worked hard again to build the infrastructure so that our physicians can provide their care in the easiest manner. We've improved our central billing, our central call center. We're renovating the lobby of the May Family Faculty Practice Building, and we're expanding our reach around the campus and now throughout the 5 boroughs. These are some of the numbers in terms of how we've done over the past year. You can see that our ambulatory encounters are almost 1 million. We have 580,000 outpatient visits, growing each year over the last several years. The receipts are growing somewhat, and most importantly, the operating margin is growing at a very strong rate as well. And here is the measurement of patient satisfaction. You can see in the regional area, we're now in the top 5% in terms of how the patients rank Mount Sinai in terms of their patient experience. Financially, a medical school has a good year when it breaks even. And that's what we shoot for every year. Over the last several years, in most years, we've had very good years in terms of having a slight positive margin. So far in 2013, we're meeting our goals as we enter the last quarter. Certainly the faculty, the capital campaign helped us greatly to invest in all of our facilities, and that's helped expand our research and our faculty practice. However, there are enormous challenges, and this is the time for great leadership. We are being squeezed, both from a clinical and research point of view. The sequester has reduced the availability of research dollars. The Affordable Care Act is going to reduce reimbursements. So we're going to have to do more with less going forward. Now, how are we going to do that? We must still maintain a positive operating result for the school. Individual departments and institutes must continue to achieve positive financial results. It means recruiting the best faculty who can provide high-quality care productively. It means recruiting the best scientists who can continue to compete for the NIH dollars. It means that we have to have an incentive-based system. Compensation, which tends to focus one's attention, has to be tied to performance. Compensation must be covered by all of our missions, whether it's teaching, research, or clinical revenue. We need to integrate quality metrics, productivity metrics, and outcomes in developing what are the outcomes that lead to compensation. We must have performance goals for each physician with regular reviews of actual results, which is what we are doing. We're going to continue to have to grow. That means expanding clinical services, expanding research space, moving administrative services to be moved off campus. It means we must continue to grow in a strategic way, whether it's clinical recruits or research recruits. Philanthropy continues to be very important. We must be fiscally disciplined as we move forward. That's business plans for recruits, return on investment in terms of the research and clinical investments that we make and continue to monitor. Now, why is this important? Because the economics of healthcare are changing and not for the better. Some of the best programs in the United States are now cutting staff, cutting services. For example, the Cleveland Clinic, which was held up as a model when the Affordable Care Act was being developed and enacted, recently announced within the last 2 weeks that they are cutting 5.5% of their budget, which translates into $330 million in their 2014 budget. We don't want to be there. This slide lists some of the additional burdens of the academic medical center. Another very highly regarded academic medical center, Vanderbilt, recently, within the last month, announced that 275 positions are going to be eliminated on top of the 1,000 positions that they've already eliminated, and they're going to reduce $250 million over the next 2 years from a $3.3 billion budget. If we don't pay attention to recruiting the best scientists, allocating resources to those scientists appropriately, recruiting the best physicians, providing them the environment to be highly productive, to monitor performance in a transparent, data-driven way, we could end up like these other top institutions. So how are we going to meet the challenge? There's a very good article recently published in the Harvard Business Review that we've handed out to all of our leaders. And there's a couple good things about this article written by Porter and Lee. One is that it provides a compelling roadmap on how to move forward. And two, when we look at it, we're doing these things. So we're on the right track. They mention organizing the way we deliver clinical care into integrated practice units. We're developing clinical institutes of excellence as we develop our new healthcare system. We measure outcomes and costs for all our patients. We're looking to population management so that as we provide outstanding care at lower costs, that will be to benefit of our medical centers. We're going to expand excellent services across geography, as Ken spoke about. Wherever you live in Manhattan, there'll be a Mount Sinai hospital or outpatient site for you to get care. And we need to build an enabling technology platform. So here we are today, the Mount Sinai Health System. It's a bold new chapter in the history of Mount Sinai. We'll expand our geographic reach, as Ken mentioned. 7 campuses, 1 medical school. It's a nice sound to it. Gives us enormous opportunity as we go forward. Our faculty will be throughout Manhattan. Our medical students and residents will have opportunities for expanded clinical training. We will have a larger clinical footprint with a very diverse population, which gives us unique opportunities for clinical and translational research. And we are going to develop clinical institutes of excellence, which will be hubs of healthcare innovation and translational research. These are some of the areas that we are initially going to emphasize. We'll be a leader in primary care, HIV, cancer clinical care, pulmonary medicine, cardiovascular disease, critical care, running ICUs across the system, diabetes and obesity, digestive disorders, women's health. We're going to have 17,000 babies delivered every year in the Mount Sinai Health System. It's like a little city. And neuroscience. And we're going to measure across all these sites quality metrics, outcomes, patient satisfaction, utilization, prevention, and chronic disease management. This picture gives you a sense of the scope of our system. On the left are the ambulatory care sites in Manhattan that are currently Mount Sinai, and on the right are the additional ambulatory care sites that are now part of Mount Sinai. And when you look at the reach of our ambulatory system, you can see it covers Manhattan. And when you lay onto that where our 7 hospitals are, you can see how things merge together in a very positive way. Every year I like to give you a little reading assignment. Some of you may have read this book, particularly those that recommended it to me. And that's The Idea Factory. How did Bell Labs make fundamental discoveries that led to the digital revolution? There's a lot of messages in there that bear on what we hope to accomplish. And finally, I leave you with these 2 quotes. Anyone can hold the helm when the sea is calm. Our sea is not going to be calm going forward. So we're going to need great leadership. And leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. It's easy to have great ideas. It's hard to make them work. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move to our endowed chairs. This year, I think we have the most chairs that we've ever given out. So I have to apologize ahead of time in that we've had to be brief in describing the accomplishments of our awardees, and they've had to be brief in how they accept the endowed chairs, because we got 10 coming up, and we need to get out of here on time. Our first recipient is Dr. Scott H. Sicherer, Elliot and Rosalind Jaffe Professorship in Pediatric Allergy and Immunology. Presenting to Dr. Sicherer is Dr. Lisa Satlin, Herbert H. Lehman Professor of Pediatrics, and Chair Jack and Lucy Clark, Department of Pediatrics. Will Dr. Sicherer and Dr. Satlin please step forward?
Good evening. It is my distinct honor to introduce Dr. Scott Sicherer, Chief of the Division of Pediatric Allergy and Immunology and Medical Director of Mount Sinai's Clinical Research Unit, as the inaugural recipient of the Elliot and Rosalind Jaffe Professorship in Pediatric Allergy and Immunology. Dr. Sicherer is an international authority on food allergy. He has elucidated the epidemiology, genetics, and natural history of food allergy and investigated novel treatments. His studies were pivotal in creating food allergen labeling laws, establishing a government-sponsored educational program for food allergies, and identifying a tripling in the prevalence of peanut allergy over the past decade, thus raising public awareness about the severity of this health problem. His esteem in the field has been recognized by his appointment to leadership positions in the American Academy of Allergy, Academy of Pediatrics, and Board of Allergy and Immunology. Dr. Sicherer is an outstanding clinician ranked by U.S. News and World Report among the top 1% of pediatric allergists nationally. He is an educator of future leaders in his discipline, as well as the lay public, and an investigator who continues in his mission to improve the lives of those living with life-threatening food allergies. We thank the Jaffe family for establishing this endowed professorship and for their ongoing support of the Jaffe Food Allergy Institute.
Thank you, Dr. Satlin, for your support. I trained here in pediatrics, and I thank Dr. Kurt Hirschhorn for his inspiration. The Jaffe Food Allergy Institute's amazing achievements would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of colleagues, staff, trainees, and patients who work tirelessly for our goals. I recognize in particular Dr. Hugh Sampson for almost 20 years of being an amazing colleague and mentor for me. I thank my wife, Mati, and our children, Andrew, Zachary, Maya, Sydney, Cassidy, for their love and support. Finally, I thank Elliot and Rosalind Jaffe and the entire Jaffe family. In Judaism on Passover, Dayenu is sung. It means it would have been enough. You established the world's leading center for food allergy, Dayenu. You support our novel programs, Dayenu. You give ongoing, insightful advice and make personal efforts, allowing us to flourish so we can help those with food allergies on a global scale, Dayenu. And now this professorship will help ensure that we advance our mission, your mission, to help those with food allergies live safer and healthier lives through comprehensive care, education, and innovative research to find a cure. Dayenu, and thank you.
Our next recipient, and the first of the Ward-Coleman chairs, is Dr. Nina Bardwar, Ward-Coleman Chair in Cancer Research. Presenting to Dr. Bardwar is Dr. Stephen J. Burkoff, Lillian and Henry M. Stratton Professor of Cancer Medicine and Director of the Tisch Cancer Institute.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Nina Bardwar to our faculty. And Nina, as Dr. Charney mentioned, will be one of the first Ward-Coleman professors in cancer research. Nina is an MD PhD from NYU, where she was AOA and recently received the Solomon Burson Award for basic research, which is one of their highest distinctions. She did her clinical training in Boston at the Brigham, and then did postdoctoral work at Rockefeller with Ralph Steinman in dendritic cells, and I think many of you know that Ralph won the Nobel Prize several years ago for his work in this area. Nina then went back to NYU, where she was a professor of pathology and ran their tumor bank, and then was recently recruited here, where she has received now numerous awards. She's been elected to the American Society of Clinical Investigation, the American Association of Physicians, and most impressively, in 2004, Scientific American named her one of the 50 most influential medical researchers in the United States. She has published over 150 papers. Her contributions have been enormous, and in fact, her work, in particular using dendritic cells to build very effective vaccines against cancers and HIV, has been highly celebrated. So it gives me a pleasure with these contributions to provide Nina with the first Ward-Coleman Chair in Cancer Research.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burkoff. Dean Charney, Dr. Davis, members of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to be named the Ward-Coleman Professor in Cancer Research. I wish to express my deepest gratitude to Mrs. Ward-Coleman for her extremely generous gift, and to Mr. Spambach in particular, who made this an actuality. This professorship has given me the opportunity to join a world-renowned medical center that is a leader in patient care, research, and education, and has provided the opportunity for us to advance our research in basic tumor immunology to develop curative immunotherapies for our cancer patients. I also wish to thank Dr. Burkoff, director of the Tisch Cancer Institute, who's been a truly remarkable mentor, and his support and encouragement are deeply appreciated. Finally, special thanks are owed to my research team, My family, my parents, my father was actually a former Sinai physician. I think he'd be very happy to see me standing here today. My husband Ramesh and children Neil and Nikki. And their unwavering support has made my quest to make a difference in cancer research a reality. So thank you very much.
Our third recipient is Dr. Judy H. Cho, Ward Coleman Chair in Translational Genetics. Presenting to Dr. Cho is Dr. Bruce Sands, Burrell B. Crone, Professor of Medicine and GI Division Chief.
Dr. Judy Cho, in 1995, fresh out of your gastroenterology fellowship at the University of Chicago, you were already deeply entrenched in the race to identify the genetic causes of Crohn's disease, a condition afflicting 1 million Americans. Many groups around the globe worked in a feverish pace to find the first IBD gene. 4 years later, it was you who got there first. You made the seminal discovery that variants of the NOD2 gene contribute strongly to the risk of Crohn's disease. Determined to learn more, you led the NIH's IBD Genetics Consortium, and earlier this year you led an international group of more than 100 investigators in describing 163 genes contributing to IBD. Through this work, we clearly understand that IBD is the result of abnormal host microbe reactions. Dr. Cho, your dedication to using the powerful techniques of genetics to understand the puzzling and devastating conditions of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis has led to unparalleled progress and hope for the many who suffer with these diseases. It is therefore quite fitting that you come now to Mount Sinai, the home of Dr. Burrell B. Crone, and that you are honored as the first Ward Coleman Chair in Translational Genetics. Judy, welcome to Mount Sinai.
Thank you so much, Bruce, for those kind words. Mr. and Mrs. Spanbach, Dean Charney, President Davis, Mr. May, and assembled guests. It gives me great pleasure to accept the Ruth Ward Coleman Chair in Translational Genetics. I'm deeply honored to be included in this group of Ward Coleman chairs. These gifts are a lovely celebration of a pioneering woman's long and illustrious life. As been stated previously, we are at a particularly impactful time with respect to both clinical medicine and biomedical research, where great changes are in the offing, reflecting both the constraints of unsustainable growth in healthcare costs, as well as an unprecedented opportunity for innovation through application of information technologies. On these fronts, the values, vision, and tangible progress I've witnessed at the Icahn School of Medicine have convinced me that this institution will be at the epicenter, leading these changes for the better in the coming years. I'm deeply honored to receive this generous gift and join the Mount Sinai family.
Our next recipient is Dr. Eric M. Jenden, Isidore Friesner Chair of Otolaryngology. Presenting to Dr. Jenden is Dr. Kenneth Davis.
It's my pleasure to award Eric Jenden the Dr. Isidore Friesner Chair of Otolaryngology at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. A fellow Mount Sinai alumnus, Dr. Jenden is the embodiment of translational medicine, making extraordinary contributions to basic science, clinical practice, and medical innovation. In a relatively short time, he has built one of the most respected departments in his field and pioneered many unique programs, such as trans-oral robotic surgery for minimally invasive management of oral cancer. Dr. Jenden's expertise in robotic surgery has changed the lives of hundreds of patients by offering them minimally invasive approaches that provide an alternative to the otherwise deforming surgery. In his role as professor of immunobiology, Dr. Jenden has led a laboratory funded by the National Institutes of Health that examines immune responses and transplant immunobiology. earning for himself a reputation as a world authority on head and neck transplant immunobiology. Combining surgery and science, he's also made great contributions to the world's understanding of HPV-related throat cancers and the advanced surgical and therapeutic techniques needed to treat and cure them. Dr. Gendon has always served this institution with distinction, and he will do the same as the Dr. Isidore Freisner Chair of Otolaryngology.
The only one who doesn't get a Ward Coleman chair. I feel like I should have one of those. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Davis and Dr. Charney and, of course, Peter May and the Board of Trustees for this honor. It's a great honor for me. I came here 25 years ago as a student, and so to be endowed as a chair means a great deal to me, probably more than any of you will ever know. But I also need to thank just about all of the faculty at Mount Sinai, because all of you have been a mentor to me at some point in my career, and that has been very instrumental in what little success I may have achieved. Many of you don't know who Isidore Freisner was, but he was an academic otolaryngologist of great esteem. He published several very important books, but probably most notably is he initiated the training program here for otolaryngology in 1923. And since that time, this program has graduated 12 chairs or division heads, which is a remarkable number, and they're spread throughout the country and spread throughout the world. It is an honor, and this endowment for me will be a reminder every day about the importance of education and training our young surgeons. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Our next recipient is Dr. John C. Jang He, Irene and Dr. Arthur M. Fishberg, Professor of Medicine. Presenting to Dr. He is Dr. Barbara Murphy, Chair of the Department of Medicine.
It is my absolute honor to present my friend and colleague, John C. Jang He, with the Dr. Arthur M. Fishberg Professor of Medicine Chair. It is particularly appropriate for John to receive this chair. Dr. Fishberg was not only a well-known and distinguished nephrologist dedicated to his patients, but also a scientist devoted to research and discovery. That same description can be used to describe John. He is the embodiment of the tripartite mission that we cherish here at Sinai. He's a dedicated clinician who, as Chief of Nephrology at the Bronx VA, has implemented numerous initiatives designed to improve patient care, including expanding the hemodialysis program, which now has one of the best outcomes in the country. He's a devoted educator, having mentored numerous trainees who have gone on to be clinicians and researchers throughout the United States and overseas. Ultimately, however, it is his research that is most impressive. He is the quintessential translational scientist who is nationally and internationally known for his work in chronic kidney disease. In his dozen years plus here at Mount Sinai, he has surpassed all expectations for research and research productivity, receiving numerous grants and awards. John's worked tirelessly in the pursuit of discoveries that will have meaningful impact for his patients. His work targeting a specific gene for anti-fibrosis therapy could ultimately help treat or prevent chronic kidney disease. It is a perfect example of the kind of high-impact translational research that we value so highly here at Mount Sinai, and of which Dr. Fishberg would be so proud. Congratulations, John.
Thank you very much, Barbara, for the kind word. I'm really honored to be the recipient of this Endowed Chair of Irene and Dr. Arthur M. Fishberg Professor of Medicine. Dr. Fishberg was a distinguished nephrologist and a leading authority on hypertension. He was passionate about research, and many distinguished members of our institution have been recipients of these prestigious titles. As a recipient of this Endowed Chair, I would like to thank the family of Dr. Fishberg for their long-standing support of our institution, and in particular of the development of nephrology research. This Endowed position will allow me to devote my effort to further improve patient care, advance medical research, and promote medical education in the Division of Nephrology. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the people who have been instrumental in my career development and also have helped me to get to where I'm today. In particular, I would like to thank Dr. Barbara Murphy, Dr. Ravi Iyengar, the entire faculty of the Renal Division, my research collaborator, member of my lab, and my family. Thank you very much.
Our sixth recipient is Dr. Yasmin L. Hurd, Ward-Coleman Chair in Translational Neuroscience. Presenting to Dr. Hurd is Dr. Eric Nestler, Nash Family Professor and Chair, Department of Neuroscience, and Director of the Friedman Brain Institute.
It is a particular treat for me to present Dr. Yasmin Hurd with the first Ward-Coleman Chair in Translational Neuroscience. Dr. Hurd and I have been close friends and colleagues for many years, in particular in the last 5 or so since we've both been here at Mount Sinai. Dr. Hurd is internationally known for her translational research on the neurobiology of drug addiction. Her laboratory utilizes a uniquely broad range of experimental methods to delineate mechanisms of addiction in animal models, and then to use that increased knowledge to devise novel treatments in humans. Her recent work on the epigenetic basis of addiction, namely the notion that deleterious effects of drugs can be passed on to subsequent generations, is transformational for the field. Dr. Hurd has many leadership roles, both nationally and locally. As just one example, she is director of Mount Sinai's MD-PhD program, where her enthusiasm and support for students and her big warm smile are well known. Yasmin, congratulations.
Thank you, Eric, so much. It's been great, and I really appreciate your support for all these years that we've been at Sinai together. Truly honored by this endowed chair and the support by the Ward-Coleman estate that honors the legacy of the excellence and service that Ruth Ward-Coleman and Lucius Coleman embraced in their lives. It's particularly significant for me since Ruth Coleman was such a role model for women, so I really appreciate it. This endowed professorship will enable me to continue some of the work that Eric mentioned about translational research and to try to continue to come up with understanding neurobiological systems to prevent addiction and to enhance development of novel treatments. Sinai is a great place, and I really appreciate the support of my wonderful colleagues and the visionary leadership of Sinai, Dennis and Ken, that have created this excellent scientific collegial community, and which really promotes in transformative research. I'm indebted to the outstanding members of my research team, both present and past, whose hard work I truly appreciate, and it's been an honor to serve as their mentor. And last and definitely not least, I thank my family, particularly my mom and my friends who basically are my family, for their unending support, who give me strength to have pursued a very unusual career journey that they didn't understand but completely supported me at every level. So I thank everybody.
Our next recipient is Dr. Paul Kenny, Ward-Coleman Chair in Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics. Will Dr. Kenny please step forward? It is my pleasure to welcome Paul Kenny to the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and to award him the Ward-Coleman Chair in Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics. Dr. Kenny is an ingenious and tireless researcher, and although fairly early in his career, he is already one of the few individuals worldwide who has successfully navigated from basic molecular, genetic, and epigenetic studies in animals to new treatments for addiction in patients. His work has also shed light on the neural similarities between compulsive eating and drug addiction, laying the groundwork for important therapeutic targets and a much deeper understanding of the role of genetics in addiction and obesity. His pioneering research has earned him numerous awards, including the Jacob B. Waletsky Award for Addiction Research from the Society of Neuroscience and the Young Investigator Award from the National Association for Research on Schizophrenia. A prolific author, he also serves on the Board of Scientific Counselors for the Intramural Research Program at the National Institute of Drug Abuse and is an editor for the Journal of Neuroscience and the Journal of Neurochemistry. We recruited Paul to Mount Sinai not just because he's a groundbreaking researcher and leader, but also because he is going to lead the charge for the discovery of new treatments for diseases such as addiction, which treatments are so badly needed. The fact that he has a terrific sense of humor is also a big plus, and it is an honor to welcome you to the Mount Sinai family. Congratulations.
Well, I'd like to thank Dennis and also the Ward-Coleman family for their generosity, their vision, the support of science here at Mount Sinai. Their gift will be certainly a catalyst for work in my lab now and for many years to come, hopefully. Again, I'd like to thank the leadership for making it possible for me to join such a wonderful scientific environment. I'm really delighted to be here. I'd like to thank, as Yasmin did, everyone in my lab, past and present members. Without their hard work, I certainly wouldn't be here. And finally, I'd like to thank my family, my wife, Dimpna, and my 3 children, Connor, Ron, and Amelia. And I thank them for their support and understanding. And thank you.
Our next recipient is Dr. Barbara Murphy, Murray M. Rosenberg Professor of Medicine. Presenting to Dr. Murphy is Dr. Ken Davis.
The security force? Okay. I'm honored to confer the Murray M. Rosenberg Professor of Medicine Chair to my esteemed colleague, Barbara Murphy. Within the vast and vital field of transplant immunobiology, Dr. Murphy stands out as a leader and a truly innovative thinker. Her renowned research portfolio includes the investigations surrounding transplant of HIV-positive patients, the role of genomics to predict outcomes in transplantation, and use of genomics to appropriately stratify patients based on immunological risk. Dr. Murphy has been continuously funded by the NIH for the past 16 years and has earned numerous patents for the identification of therapeutic targets surrounding immune response and tumor development. As chair of the Samuel Bronfman Department of Medicine, she brings to bear profound experience leading major and executive service to many national and international societies, including the American Society of Transplantation, the American Society of Nephrology, and the World Transplant Congress. She is also a compassionate mentor who leads with humor and grace. On behalf of Mount Sinai, thank you for your dedication to this institution.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start by thanking the family of Murray M. Rosenberg for their ongoing support of this endowed professorship. Mr. Murray was a self-made man, first-generation American whose parents had emigrated from Russia, and his success represents the opportunity America has offered so many who have chosen to move here. As someone who moved here to America 20 years ago, I'm particularly grateful for the opportunities I've been afforded and today for the honour of receiving this award. Throughout my career, I've been fortunate to have had the support of many individuals who've advocated and mentored me at critical junctures in my career. In addition to the many people in Ireland, in the US, several people, including Mohammed Zayed, Paul Klopman, and Barry Kohler, have helped me along my way. I'm grateful for their support, and I've learned through their example of the impact and importance of supporting and mentoring medical students, house staff, and junior faculty. I want to thank Dean Dennis Charney and Dr. Ken Davis, in particular, for giving me the opportunity to lead an outstanding Department of Medicine. As Chair of Medicine, I get to work with an incredible faculty whose dedication to their patients, students, and to advancing biomedical research is inspiring. I'm extremely privileged to represent you as Chair. Lastly, I would like to thank my family. My parents who are here this evening have served as incredible role models to myself and my siblings. Through their work ethic, their moral strength, and their absolute dedication to their children. I want to thank my husband, Peter, for his constant support and encouragement, and for the incredible life we have with our son, Gavin. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Dr. Ramon Parsons, the second Ward-Coleman Chair in Cancer Research. Will Dr. Parsons come up? In March, when we recruited Ramon Parsons to the Icahn School of Medicine to chair the Department of Oncological Sciences, we did so because he is known as a legend for his tremendous enthusiasm for innovative diagnostic and treatment approaches to cancer. It is his mission to identify the genetic and biochemical changes that lead normal cells to develop into aggressive cancer cells. To this end, he has already made fundamental discoveries, including the identification of P10, a tumor suppressor gene that is often mutated in cancer. This insight provided a critical therapeutic target in a variety of cancers, including breast, brain, prostate, and endometrial cancer. Dr. Parsons has published widely and has served as an editor on numerous journals, including the renowned journal Cancer Research. He's the recipient of many honors, including the Outstanding Investigator Award for Breast Cancer Research from the American Association for Cancer Research, and the Research Service Award from the National Institutes of Health. In addition to his extensive research agenda, Dr. Parsons is a visionary leader of a strong and highly productive interdisciplinary team, which includes researchers in genetics, biochemistry, bioinformatics, and pathology. With all of this, it is my pleasure to name him the Ward-Coleman Chair in Cancer Research. Congratulations.
Thank you very, very much. I joined the faculty at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai 6 months ago as chairman of the Department of Oncological Sciences, and it's really been a real pleasure and an honor to take that position. I'm delighted to be here to build a department to greater heights and to better understand and prevent cancer. It is an honor and privilege to receive one of the Ward-Coleman Chairs in Cancer Research today. Mrs. Ruth Ward-Coleman and her husband, Lucius Coleman, showed a great discipline and generosity to make such a substantial gift. The Ward-Coleman's legacy at Mount Sinai has provided a significant contribution to progress and growth here. I am grateful And again, thank you very much for your generous gift. I'd also like to thank my family for their support, my mentors, and the team of scientists that I work with, and the students that I've had the chance and privilege to mentor. And also I'd like to thank, finally, the faculty at Mount Sinai for the warm welcome. And I really think we're off to great things. It's really exciting to be here. Thank you very much.
Our final recipient is Dr. Zhen Yu, Alex and Shirley Adickman Family Neurological Research Professorship. Presenting to Dr. Yu is Dr. Eric Nessler.
Dr. Zhenyu Yu is a leading international authority in Parkinson's disease. We were fortunate to recruit him to Mount Sinai as an assistant professor in 2004, and he's risen through the ranks very quickly since, becoming a full professor this year. Dr. Yu's research focuses on mutations in the gene LRRK2, which cause the most common inherited form of Parkinson's disease. The Yu Laboratory also carries out groundbreaking research on mechanisms of autophagy in the nervous system that are very important for therapeutic efforts against Parkinson's disease and several other neurological diseases characterized by intracellular protein aggregates. Dr. Yu's extraordinary record of scientific accomplishment, his focus on translational research in areas of great importance to the field, and his service to the neurology department and the Friedman Brain Institute are all a testament to his importance to Mount Sinai. It is an honor to name him to the Alex and Shirley Adickman Family Neurological Research Professorship. Zhenyu, congratulations.
Thanks, Dr. Nessler, for a very kind introduction. I would like to thank the Adickman family for their generosity and support to my research at this prestigious institute. Indeed, it is an incredible honor for me, and I feel humbled. While this honor will inspire me to work even harder in my research to find the cause of the Parkinson's disease, which is a really devastating disease, and a cure for the disease. I would like to thank our Brain Institute for providing such a supporting environment, particularly our leadership, Dr. Eric Nessler, and Dr. Stu Selfang, who guides me through the early stage of my independent research career. Of course, this would not have been possible without the support from our colleagues, the hard work and the contribution from my current and past laboratory members. My deep appreciation to my dear friends who sit here today to support me. My special thanks to my family, my wife, Yoko, my daughter, Juna, and my son, Shaw. Your love has made my research journey so joyful every day. Thank you very much.
You can see that Mount Sinai is in good hands with these new endowed chair recipients. Let's give them a round of applause. In addition, Convocation gives us all an opportunity to recognize the many accomplishments of our faculty during the past academic year. The Convocation program lists the international, national, and regional honors and awards of many of our faculty. Also listed in the program are those faculty who joined the tenured and/or professorial ranks during the past academic year. Please join me in congratulating them for their accomplishments as well. The 2013 Convocation ceremony is now complete.